I think our corn and beans like the sun and heat, maybe a little bit more than we do. But despite, the heat, the traffic, the amount of people, the conversations have all been fantastic.
Thanks, have a great day.
It really depends on the
range from 300.
So we're really excited to announce that
Coming with a
You slowly click it.
a matter of
For 3 days every July, a Saskatchewan village springs to life with hundreds of acres of crops, equipment, and animals, and thousands of people. This is Ag in Motion, Western Canada's largest outdoor farm show. In this series, you'll hear from the people running the show, the editors that cover this once-a-year event, the exhibitors who keep coming back, and farmers who gather to check out new farm solutions. Pulling off a show this size is no small feat. This episode is about how the hundreds of crop plots at the farm show help farmers manage their production better next year. There's a quote that says we owe our existence to 6 inches of topsoil and the fact that it rains. On that 6 inches of topsoil, farmers face unpredictable weather conditions, as well as the challenges of market volatility. Scott Carson describes what it takes to farm on those 6 inches of topsoil and manage the rains.
There's always something that gets thrown at you unexpectedly, but like some years you think you got it made, and then the weather will throw something at you, or bugs, or wind, or too much rain, or so. Yeah, it's always an issue. This will be my 34th crop, and I haven't had one the same, I don't think so. And you kind of get used to what's thrown at you next. And I think that's part of why most people do it. They don't necessarily do it to be rich and famous, but I think they do it because it is a challenge, and it's a different challenge every year, and you don't know what's coming.
Robert Misko is a farmer who shares the same challenges.
Farm in the Roblin area, between Roblin and Grandview. So that's kind of on the Saskatchewan-Manitoba border. We grow wheat, canola, and peas. Family farm operation, farm with my children and my wife. I'm second generation, my kids will be third. My dad started farming in 1976. Wow. And we're still here so far. As a farmer, you don't stop learning. Every year is different. There's always different things that come up. There's between different diseases, between different crop conditions. You got to be kind of a jack of all trades on the farm at all times. You don't know what's going to happen when and how you're going to have to do it. If you stop learning, then you're going backwards, because there's always new technology, there's always new things coming along. I think Ag in Motion helps with continuing education just because of the fact it's a very hands-on event. You have a good opportunity here to talk to the people that are selling it, backing it, and just new technology and farm equipment in general. Like it's giving you the opportunity. It's a little more than kicking the tires.
Rob O'Connor is a farmer himself and the show director for Ag in Motion. He ensures Ag in Motion is a crop showcase for farmers like Scott and Robert.
What you'll see at the show is a lot of what represents the prairie provinces when it comes to agriculture. So you'll be able to see the equipment that the farmers use, you'll be able to see the different crops that they use, all the different varieties.
In order to showcase these crops, they're planted and seeded in very small sections throughout the show site, giving farmers a chance to tour them.
So everybody comes with a great sense of optimism at that time of year. The crops are lush and green. We're just before harvest, so guys have a pretty good sense of what's going to happen this year. And then also, because it's the summertime, it lets people relax a little bit too. So not only do they come to do business, which really they do, but they also come to have a good time. They come with their friends, their neighbors. They meet like-minded people from all over Western Canada. And now we're even seeing people from around the world coming to the show. And it's the same thing. They come to see our technology, because Western Canadian technology for small grains and pulses is the best in the world.
Robin Booker is the editor of the Western Producer. Robin grew up on the farm with a keen appreciation for the agriculture industry. His writing career is focused on covering the news and information of crop production in Western Canada that's so important to farmers. This year at the show, the stakes are high as Robin is hosting a once-in-a-generation special event with farmers to celebrate the Western Producer's 100th anniversary.
Ag in Motion is valuable to farmers because you get to see almost any product that's being used in Western Canadian crop production, you're going to see it here. So it's surprising when I come here just how big agriculture is in the prairies, just the scale of it. Because you might not notice that when you're at home on your farm or in your own community, but when you come to a big event like this, you actually start to comprehend the scale.
The show takes place on a full section of 640 acres near Langham, Saskatchewan. It's in the heart of the prairies, on land familiar to many of the folks attending the show. Although it pops up to be a city of 30,000 people for 3 days in July, preparation for the 27 company crop plots at the farm show starts early in the spring. Exhibitors manage these plots as would any farmer on the prairies manage their own production.
With these test plots, you can see the varieties that you're thinking about bringing into your farm, because it is a big decision of the varieties that you're choosing. So here you can walk around, you can see multiple companies, multiple varieties side by side, and you can see, well, you know, this works here in Langham, this may be something I want to bring home to my farm. And it's nice because you have lots of variety to choose from, and you can see all the most important varieties of the companies with crop plots are going to be represented here.
Todd Hyra has spent his career focused on providing Western Canada farmers with seeds to sow successful crops.
Yeah, I think it's that one-stop shop, the ability to see everything in the field. You can go to a trade show every winter, but to be able to see the crops growing in the field, talk to industry experts right there at that particular time is really something that we really didn't have until Ag in Motion started. It's something that is a ton of work, but we look forward to it every year. It's a rare opportunity where you can bring literally tens of thousands of farmer customers and our seed grower members to see your material in the field. And so we do demonstration sites at other places, but you don't get the mass or the excitement that comes with Ag in Motion. It's like farming on a little 1 acre site. And pulling it all together, having the show, the site look as good as you can possibly have it, and then have the customers roll in and visit with them and talk about the new varieties right in the field.
So you can look at a lot of these varieties, you know, in the seed guide, and it gives you useful information, but, you know, it's nothing like walking up to it, walking through it, you know, having someone describe the characteristics, you know, the traits in these varieties to really help you make an informed decision of which traits and which varieties that you should be bringing back to your farm to ultimately help you be successful.
Travis Williams is CEO of North Star Genetics, a Western Canadian soybean and corn seed provider. They have a crop plot at Ag in Motion to show how their varieties address current production needs.
The past few years there's been some drought-like conditions. Our silo-specific hybrids hold up better in the drought, so that means that ultimately is going to be more food for your cows. So our silo-specific corn is truly bred for a cow. By coming to our site, you're going to see bigger plants, wider leaves.
If we owe our existence to the fact that it rains on those 6 inches of topsoil, Bruce Burnett's career has been focused on what farmers need to consider when it doesn't rain, or when it rains more than they need.
We follow the growing season report on the status of the crop, how it's growing, what the prospects are. So that gives the farmer an idea as to what's coming down the pipe in terms of this crop year and what kind of prices he could expect. What I'm trying to do is to educate farmers and give them an idea of why markets are moving the way they are, along with what kind of weather we're getting and how it is impacting the output here in Western Canada, but also internationally across the globe.
Driving out to the show gives Bruce a chance to stop and check out different crops and their staging. For a farm kid who works behind a desk, it gets him out of the office and into the fields.
I grew up on a farm, was born and raised in western Manitoba on a small farm, which is right now being farmed by my brother. in a much expanded version. Yeah, I go back to the farm every fall, help him out with harvest to see the results of his labor. Every year I drive to Ag in Motion, stopping at many fields. This year I drove over 3,500 kilometers, examining fields in all 3 prairie provinces. That gives me a good idea as to what the impact of the weather has been this year on the crops, and certainly things that you can't necessarily predict, stuff like leaf diseases, hail, those types of things. You get a chance to take a look at the impacts in those individual fields.
Some fields look pretty good, some fields look pretty bad from the wet, but the proof in the pudding is once you get the combine in the field and the grains in the bin. We're not there yet. So I think that's just the nature of farming. I think it's just, you know, farmers keep trying. You always try to be optimistic about it. So you do the best you can with what you got, and you'll see what happens.
It's a vastly important industry for the prairies, and here you can see a lot of the people involved with it, from farmers who are in a growing region far from yours to also all of the people involved in the sales, right? You can learn a lot from them. Like for myself, I've learned tons just walking through the row. If I don't know what something is, I mean, I just ask, like where does this fit in agriculture here? And here at Ag in Motion, you get to connect with all kinds of people, right? You get to see people who have the same interests, the same vocation, and you can learn a lot from them. It's just nice to see that you are connected to other people who aren't around you, but they're going through the same thing you're going through, and here you can connect with them, and you can talk with them and, you know, seeing what's important to them, and you can learn a lot that way. It's about relationships, and it's about the face-to-face interaction. So there are many varieties and many traits that growers can choose to bring onto their farm for various different reasons. It could be they're having some production problems, or it could be they're just trying to hit a higher yield target. Here you have lots of opportunity to see what's out there, what's available to farmers, and get, you know, the information on these varieties from the people who help, you know, breed them.
Plant breeders are always trying to move things forward and always putting new traits into the products that are going to help stabilize yield and performance for farmers.
We are an agricultural company that grows crops. We get to show it in action. We aren't just in a hall somewhere kind of going through flip charts and different things. We get to show what our stuff does in the field in live conditions. You know, this year's been a little bit different. We had a little bit of a cooler start to the spring. So I know lots of people will come here and say, oh, my corn doesn't look this tall yet. It's a little bit shorter, it's this high, but I remind them to say, well, when we got here on Monday at 6, when we were putting up the signs, we did a height measurement on our corn, and in the 2.5 days since we've been here, it's grown 25 inches. So I'm sure when you go back to your farm, your crops are gonna look a little bit different as well as they've passed through as well. So other guys, you know, there's so many different types of customers we get to see. Some of them have grown our products, so they come and say, hey, what else do you got coming? What's your new ones? Let's see, let's compare. Other guys are ranchers or farmers are just still intrigued by, hey, corn's really growing in the marketplace. You know, take me through it, walk me through that. Why is it doing that? And it's just great conversations we get to have.
The challenge for prairie farmers never changes. You have to survive Mother Nature and the effect she has on crops, and then you have to manage the risks associated with pricing in the markets.
In terms of the markets are still fairly similar. We go through ups and downs in this business. It's a cyclical business. This year we're in a bit of a downturn in terms of the prices, but again, farmers have the prospect of getting good yields this year, which is a change from the last couple of years. So again, it's trying to get farmers prepared for these changes and get themselves essentially protect some of the risks that they take as they go into each year, planting crops and having to market them through the remainder of the year.
And if the right combination of seeds and weather come together, those 6 inches of topsoil are still at the center of it all. Soil testing technology is a big focus for Daniel Owen at ATP.
This is actually our 10th year at Ag in Motion. You know, we love it because we get to talk to people in a natural setting. You know, we're in the crop, we can show what our products do. It's really great to be able to demonstrate that rather than have that atmosphere where really you're showing a picture or something. We can really highlight what the products do. So NutriScan, it's a cool unit. It's a near-infrared scanner. Near-infrared technology is over 40 years old. but the innovation of it is the fact that we're now using deep learning, machine learning to really take that data that the scanner takes in, analyze it and produce fertility recommendations within about 2 minutes for growers. Yeah, within 2 minutes, because I mean, it was a challenge, obviously. You know, traditionally we use wet labs. It takes 5 to 7 days. So now we were able to get that information there so that it can be utilized in that growing season.
100 years ago, farmers couldn't have imagined soil testing in the field. With thousands of farmers gathering at the show, it's the perfect place to celebrate the past and look forward. It's time for Robin to host the special 100th anniversary event.
Welcome to the Western Producers 100 Years, 100 Farmers, 100 Questions event series. But we also thought this important milestone was a good opportunity to reflect on what farmers think the next 100 years of agriculture might look like. The WP 100 event was a success because we had some really great farmers from across Western Canada to help share their perspectives of what they're seeing and what they're needing when it comes to seed genetics and crop protection products. And so that's what made the panel for me. So when we knew we were going to have this event, it was the final event in a 4-part event series about the WP 100 survey, where we talked to 100 farmers and asked them 100 questions about the future of farming. And we learned a lot of interesting things. And this was a finale, and I think it went great. We had a full house. No one seemed to leave, even though the event kind of went longer than we thought it would, because the discussion was good. You know, the farmers really carried the conversation, and they really talked about exactly what they need on their farm and some of the struggles that they're having. And it was nice to have a Bayer representative up there who's involved with canola breeding, so to actually get her perspective, and the farmers could pose questions to her about what they need and what they're doing, and how crop protection and seed companies sort of direct their research programs. And I thought it was a fascinating conversation. I love what I do. I love to tell stories, and I love to keep learning about agriculture. And sometimes it's the big products or the big political stories, but other times it's just what some farmers implementing on their farm. They're trying something new, and I love those stories. I talked to someone a few days ago who must have been in his late 60s, and he's thinking about getting a robotic grain cart on his farm, or a tractor to pull a grain cart, to help him be more efficient. And I just find that's fascinating, that someone in the later stages of their farming career, they were still implementing this new technology because it's going to make him, make his life easier. So yes, it's the big stories, but it's also the individual personal stories that I find fascinating.
No matter what stage a farmer is at, whether it's towards the end of a farming career and thinking about farm succession, or the beginning of the journey and thinking about the many ways to take care of the soil for future generations, those involved in agriculture live these yearly cycles over and over, learning from the past and looking to the future.
When you're stopping at these fields, you don't see the farmer effort in producing this crop. You don't see the late nights during seeding, you don't see the spraying, you don't see any of those impacts on the field, but you do get to see the result. And in most cases this year, in particular, the results are very, very good in most growing areas.
When my kids were growing up, I didn't know if they were going to farm. I hoped they would. One decided she wanted to go to a different career. That's what she did. But I told all my kids, if you know you want to do something and you have the opportunity, then get the education you need and go with it. It happens they all relate to farming, and they've all come, 3 of them have come back to the farm. I'm glad that I have another generation that's farming. I got grandkids coming, and they're interested in it too. I think as a bunch, we're eternally optimistic. It is always next year. It'll be better. If it was good this year, it'll be better. If it was bad this year, it'll be better. So we're always trying, we're always hopeful for what's going to come.
A lot of happy people this year. So it rained in Saskatchewan, so it's a big deal. There's some pretty beautiful crops after 3-4 years of drought, and so everybody's a lot of smiles, a lot of high expectations, and we're hoping that over the next month and a half or so that the weather continues, they get a few more timely rains and are able to get the crop in the bin. As I said earlier, I think everybody at the end of the 3 days is dirty and tired, purely exhausted and excited about what next year brings.
After 3 days of the show, it's time to put it all away. Every exhibit, every display, and to remove every piece of equipment on the site. It's a little like putting a farm to bed for the winter at the end of harvest. For the Ag in Motion organizers, it's the end of their season, and cleanup begins. Like their farm neighbors after a long and intense harvest, Ag in Motion staff are happy and tired. Plus, a little bit sunburned from all that Mother Nature has thrown at them.
It's been a hot show. We're gonna hit 37 degrees today. It's the first day of move out, and we'll be drinking lots of water and trying to keep people cool. You know, we attracted people from all over Western Canada. We attracted people from outside of the country. The exhibits are just phenomenal, whether it's the smaller exhibits or the larger exhibits. The effort that's put into the exhibits and the demonstration programs are fantastic. And I think just the combination of everything as this show has grown and matured is what I've enjoyed the most.
Everybody's happy, and they couldn't believe how many new things they got to see this year, so it was really, really a great event, and I'm really happy with you know, our exhibitors, our attendees, all the programming that we have on site with our field demonstrations. Our tractor pull was new this year, and you know, we had great crowds for that. So yeah, really all around happy with how the event went this year.
Oh, Melanie's great, eh? She's a person with so much energy. It's just great to be there. She knows how to get things done, and she does it with such a great personality. I really like working with that lady.
Yeah, Rob is, you know, he always has like creative ideas, and we bounce ideas back and forth, and sometimes we banter back and forth. It's like, Rob, no, we're not doing that for sure. And then other times it's like, yeah, that's a great idea. So that's, you know, we've kind of have that kind of relationship, and it really works. And you know, that I think that's part of it. It's what's making it better to come here every year.
With this season of the show wrapping up, we're all looking ahead to next year, just like the never-ending cycle of agriculture that plays out across Western Canada. What will Ag in Motion have in store next year? What stories will be told? And what will go right and wrong? What will keep the crowds coming back for more? And what will it take to bring those 6 inches of topsoil to life in the field next year? Robin Booker is looking forward also. Only for Robin, it might be for a different reason.
For me, the highlight so far was, you know, our equipment sort of challenge, where me and Scott Garvey were, you know, having a lot of fun out there driving some machines, because, you know, we both have experience of operating machines, but we don't get to do it a lot anymore, you know, so it was kind of fun. I would say that was the highlight this year, and I'm hoping I can do it again next year, because, you know, I feel like I'm the reigning champ now, so I don't know.